The next Construct 3 add-on that we're going to discuss is the level behavior. With the level behavior, we can quickly add an experience-based level-up system, which only requires a few events to get up and running. This behavior is essential for an RPG-style game, or any other type of game where your player can level up. Check the description for a link to get the level behavior in the Sierra store. Right now, I've got a simple RPG-style layout, which we'll use to test out the level behavior. Currently, we can walk up to the building and press space to open the door. If we press space in front of the switch, it's activated and the fireplace switches on. What we're going to do is add a level system using the level behavior, which will allow for leveling both up or down. I want to restrict the player so that they can only activate the switch once they are at level 5. We'll add or subtract experience by interacting with the blue and red torches. The first thing we need to do is add the level behavior to the player object. I'll select the player and click Behaviors. Then add New Behavior. I'll add the level behavior under the General category. Believe it or not, most of the work is already done. By just adding the behavior, the system is in place. We just need to add or subtract experience from our player in the event sheet. Before we do that, let's quickly go over all the properties we can adjust to customize how the level behavior performs, and set them according to how I want this project to work. First, we've got base EXP, which is the amount of experience the player needs to earn before reaching the second level. For our example, I want to set it to 200. Then, we've got EXP Scale, which is used to determine the amount of experience the player needs to reach subsequent levels after the second level. I want to set this to 1.5. To explain how the EXP Scale property affects the amount of experience needed to reach the next level, we need to jump ahead a couple properties to EXP Scale Mode. EXP Scale Mode determines how to use EXP Scale to calculate the amount of experience needed for the next level, which is referred to as EXP Pool. We've got 3 options under EXP Scale Mode: Progressive, Constant, and Custom. With Progressive, the amount of experience is calculated by taking the base EXP value, currently set to 200, and multiplying it by EXP Scale to the power of the player's level minus 1. With Constant, the amount is calculated by taking the base EXP and adding it to EXP Scale times level minus 1. With Progressive, you'll get much larger amounts of experience needed between each level, while with Constant, you'll have smaller amounts needed between each level. Last, we have Custom, which allows you to enter the actual amount of experience you want the player to earn between each level, here under Custom EXP Scale. If you use Custom, just enter the values in a list, with each value separated by a comma, so 100, 200, 300, etc. I'll use the Progressive EXP Scale mode for this example. We've got 2 other properties here: Max Level and Level Down. Max Level lets you set the max level that you'd like the player to be able to reach. I'll set it to 5. Level Down allows you to choose if the player's level can fall if they lose experience. I'll set it to Enabled so we can level down as we interact with the red torch. Okay, now we've got everything set up to perform how I'd like. Let's set up the torches so we can level up or down when we interact with them. If I switch over to the event sheet, you can see I've already got some stuff set up. You've already seen it in action at the beginning of the video. I've got the controls set up in a group here, and I have some triggers that we interact with by pressing the space bar. First, we can interact with the door to open it. Then, we can interact with the switch to light the fireplace. And finally, we can interact with both the blue torch and the red torch. First, let's add the ability to gain experience from interacting with the blue torch. I'll add a new action using the player object. Scroll down to Level, and we've got a bunch of options. Let's start out with Add Experience. and we'll add 50 experience points. Then, we need to update the experience text in the lower right of the screen. I'll add another action using EXP text, and I'll choose Set Text. Since we've added the level behavior to the player object, it gives us some properties we can access from the event sheet. I'll type player.level. And you can see all the options we have. We want to use total EXP, which will give us the total EXP we've earned so far. If I preview the layout and go through the door, we can interact with the blue torch and gain experience. But we need to update the level text when we reach a new level, and I'd like to play a sound when we level up too. So let's add a new event using the player object. And choose On Level Up. This event does exactly what it sounds like. It fires off when the player goes up in level. Add an action using the level text object and choose Set Text. Here, we can reference the player's level just like we did with total experience. Just enter player.level.current level. Now, when the player goes up a level, the level text is updated in the HUD. Then I want to play a sound to let us know when we level up. Add an action using the audio object and choose Play. I'll select the Level Up sound and click Done. We need to subtract experience points when we interact with the red torch, so let's add an action under the red torch event using the player object. This time, we'll use Subtract Experience. I'll subtract 100 points. We need to update the EXP text when we lose experience, so I'll copy the action from the blue torch event and paste it under the red torch event. But we need to update the level text when the player goes down a level too, so I'll copy the Level Up event and paste it below. Change On Level Up to On Level Down. Then, let's change the sound that's played to Level Down. I'll preview the layout and go through the door, and when I interact with the blue torch, we gain experience. And when we reach 200 points, we go up to Level 2. Interacting with the red torch causes us to lose experience and fall in level. Last, I want to limit the ability to light the torch if the player is below Level 5, which is the max level possible since we set it to 5 earlier. We'll play a sound when we reach the max level also. First, add a sub-event under the switch event using the player object and choose Level Compare. Here, we can compare the player's level against a number. We'll check if the player's level is equal to 5. Then, drag the fire switch action down to the Level is equal to 5 event. That's all there is to limiting an action based on the player's level. Last, let's play a sound when we reach the max level. Add an event using the player object, and we can use On Max Level Reached. Then, add an action using the audio object and select Play. Then I'll select the Level Max sound. I'll preview the layout and go through the door. And now if we interact with the switch, nothing happens since we're not at Level 5. I'll interact with the blue torch until we get to Level 5. and notice the sound that plays at the max level. Now we know that we can interact with the switch, which starts the fire. You can see how useful the level behavior is and how simple it is to get up and running. I haven't covered everything this behavior can do either. There's lots more for you to learn and experiment with, but you can see how easy it is to get started using the level behavior.